The San Juan Jazz Society proudly presents Heartspace Live with our host, Terry Martin.
Back to Heartspace Live. My name's Terry Martin and I'm here with Cinematica. Introduce yourself, guys.
I'm Eddie. I play the drums.
I'm OJ. Play bass.
The guitar.
Well, we appreciate you guys coming out, and I know this is quite a ceremonious occasion for you. We just had a release today. For those watching, it'll be out already.
Jaguar Priestess.
All right.
3 years in the making.
3 years in the making. And where did you guys cut that album?
Rio Grande Studios, Albuquerque, New Mexico, under the tutelage of producer Kenny Riley.
And how was that experience working with Kenny Riley?
Each of us have our own unique relationship with Kenny. This is our second full-length album that we've made with him. The first was Ultraviolet Waterfall.
Right.
We recorded in 2017. That was our first footsteps into a major studio like that with him, or with a producer on that level. You know, but he just kind of interjects himself as a fourth member of the band, and
nice.
He's not sitting there breathing down our neck telling us this is wrong, let's try this. You know, it's more of like, how can he amplify the music to a whole nother level, that because he believes in what we got going already. So the interaction between him and Bean is fantastic. It's amazing. So for this particular record, OJ and I, let's say this. Kenny is on a level where, you know, he's working with nationally and worldwide syndicated artists on the highest of levels. So he cuts us a break to be able to afford to work with him, because he knows that we are, you know, lower on the totem pole, you know, in the sense of we don't have somebody putting money into us. We can't afford to be with him for a month or whatnot. So So what we could afford for the 2 days that we were there, OJ and I tracked drums and bass the first day, and then he wanted to focus the second day all on interaction between him and Bean with guitars. Just the entire experience with him is fantastic. We made a commitment with him to put out sort of like a trilogy of an instrumental trilogy. So part 2, you have Ultraviolet Waterfall was part 1, the Jaguar Priestess is part 2, and we will not release the name of the third album just yet. We know what it is. The plans are there. The blueprint is there. Yeah. But we will be with Kenny for the third and final installment of the trilogy in the years to come, and I'm excited to see. He's kind of given us an idea of where he wants us to go for the next range of our, you know, evolving as musicians and songwriters. So we're not going to push anything and be like, hey, we're there in, you know, 6 months to a year. We might not see him for another 2 years. You know, It took us 3 years to get back from 2017 to 2020, and so it was a long process.
Well, you had a couple roadblocks thrown in your way. One being, namely, COVID-19.
The San Juan Jazz Society would like to invite you to take 5 with Sonic. We've partnered with Sonic Drive-Ins to offer this fun summer giveaway. The first 10 people to share Heartspace Live broadcast and comment will receive a $5 Sonic gift card. Tune in next time to Heartspace Live. What happened when Miles performed at the Newport Jazz Festival in 1955?
How has that affected you guys as a band? Have you had to cancel a lot of shows or cancel a lot of plans or anything like that?
It definitely threw a roadblock in some of the ideas, some of the more grandiose ideas we had for the album coming out in the summer. We wanted to release it in July. We originally wanted to release it in February of 2020.
Right.
Because Ultraviolet Waterfall came out on Pi Day 3/14/18, okay?
Sure.
So we thought it would be cool. This was our original idea. We recorded in October of 2018, and we're like, okay, it should be ready by February or March or whatnot. So we were talking about 3/15/20 or something cool like that, like the day right after, like 2 years later or whatever.
Sure.
But Kenny asked us, he said, hey, look, if this thing goes out right at the beginning of the year, and this is prior to knowing that COVID's going out, this is October of last year, 2019, when we recorded, we spent the weekend with him, and then he's like, let's stretch it out, let's stretch this one out, let's come up with a marketing plan that we didn't have last time, right?
Sure.
Let's pick. He had a few more singles in mind than we narrowed it down to, but we ended up picking 3 singles, and we started in, what was it? March or April, and we released a single each month, which took us to July, and then we ran into some...
Yeah, just timing issues.
Timing
because
issues,
of
yeah.
what's going on takes longer to get stuff done. And,
So we pushed it back to August 1st, and
Here we are.
that is this day today.
Yeah.
And it just so happened a month ago, I was talking with Nick, right? And he was setting this whole thing up for us, and he threw me a few dates, and August 1st happened to be one of them.
Yep.
And so hey, that sounds good. And then it just so happened the record had a few dates after 7/20 that were like, hey, we can, these 3, so we picked August 1st, and it all just lined up today. And
That's awesome.
so even though coronavirus kind of like stepped in our way, and it hasn't affected our friendship and being the musicians we are together, we don't force ourselves. We've learned over the last 6 years to not force anything.
Sure.
Bean was paramount in getting us to realize that we don't need to be in 4 or 5 days a week. We don't need to be forcing too many shows. We went down that route, and it almost broke us up in 2018. And that's not a bad thing. Just some life and everything was getting in the way, and we were trying to do so much. We were killing ourselves, thinking we got to accept every show. We got to do this. But it seems like when we took a step back and we took some time off and took a deep breath as friends, as band members, when we came back, there was this refreshing thing to say hey, let's let this thing kind of just one thing at a time, and we don't have to over exaggerate ourselves. And from there, the universe just kind of took us and threw us in a direction, and here we are today. So.
KSJE is a community-supported radio station playing classical music and jazz, live local interviews weekday morning, streaming video live to our KSJE Facebook page and YouTube channel. Find out more at ksje.com.
Now, in regards to writing new stuff, what's the process usually like for you guys? I've wondered that about instrumental bands such as yourself. Like, where does a song usually start? Is it a riff or an idea or something like that?
It's a strange process, really.
It kind of depends, but a lot of times I'd
varies.
say just he comes up with a sweet riff and we'll be sitting there,
There you go.
or he'll bring one in and
Kind of like what Kenny does with you guys, just take an original idea and expand upon it.
Well,
You
what's
guys
really
are
strange too, like the idea for the trilogy, right? The names of the records we've had picked out for the last year or two, couple years or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But we do that with songs too. He'll be like, I'll talk to him. We'll have one of these 3-hour phone conversations that we have, right? Where we haven't talked in a week or two or a month, and we just get on the phone and we go. And then he's got this idea and I have this idea. So we'll have these titles and these ideas, and then they won't be made for months. But this riff, he'll write a riff, something, or one of us has an idea, and mainly we bounce off of his riffs, to be honest with you. But other ideas do pop in. A lot of them is like song titles. Song titles are huge for us. They always have been. Bean and I have been playing together for over a decade in various projects, and that's how Cinematica was started. We hadn't played in a band in about 2 years together. He was doing his own thing with a project called Nightquarium. I was DJing as deaf as can be. We were still playing shows together. But I texted him one day and I said, hey, I've got a title, but it's bigger than a song, and it was Cinematica. And then he's like, hey, I'm gonna I'll come over, we'll talk. There was more to it than that. You were bringing me something, or we were getting together for something. And then when we did, the name Cherry Nova for him and I having a conversation came up, and that ended up so before any song was written, before any riff was written, Cinematica and Cherry Nova were the seeds we planted for the idea and it was just him and I, just the two of us, and I think it took almost a year for this guy to join, and that all came about in its own way. But so a lot of times, it's just these ideas that we plant inside our imagination, and we water this project in such a way that they grow spontaneously, and then they just arrive when they're ready to present themselves. If that makes sense.
Absolutely.
The San Juan Jazz Society would like to invite you to take 5 with Sonic. We've partnered with Sonic Drive-Ins to offer this fun summer giveaway. The first 10 people to share Heartspace Live broadcast and comment will receive a $5 Sonic gift card. Tune in next time to Heartspace Live.
So the first single from this album is called Space Queen,
Okay.
and Daniel Diswood,
Daniel Diswood.
my cousin, amazing friend of ours,
Sure.
for family member for
Yeah.
all my life, and these guys for the last 2 decades or more. Daniel
R.I.P.
Diswood.
SNS Skate Shop. You know what I'm
Exactly,
saying?
yes.
That's it.
I've been down with, Daniel is my cousin, but him and I, before music, this still coincides with music. I mean, I remember him from Bomb Squad Breakers when Poppin' John, Wesley Austin was in Bomb Squad with Daniel, and I was in the Menace Breakers, and so the whole scene was starting way back then when it was, the hip hop dance, old school 80s break beats going, and we got cardboard down at the Advantage Dawn parking lot, and we got the lights up, and we're all breakdancing out there. So Daniel and I go way back then, so it was really fun to bring him into the project,
Sure.
which he's been involved with us no matter what shows, SNS, letting us play and taking pictures for us. But yeah, it was fun to let him come to the studio with us
Yeah.
at Rio Grande for the final day in February, where we were putting the finishing touches on the album. Mainly, I think, guitar parts and stuff. So Daniel filmed the entire experience that whole day. Emmett was with us. Emmett's a big part of the band, Emmett Albin. So you'll see all of us in there interacting, and it's kind of like the inner circle of
Sure.
the Cinematica crew. And so yeah, the first video, Space Queen, is on YouTube. You can find it on our Instagram, on our IG video, all that kind of cool stuff. And that's the first single from this album.
Yeah.
So
It's
Awesome.
an honest video, I think. It's the best way to put it.
Beautiful.
it's just us being
us.
ourselves, basically,
Yeah.
laughing,
Yeah.
having fun, playing music together.
The album art for the 2 albums that
Yep.
you guys have out, that's the same artist, correct? And he's
And
a
he is the
member
bass
of
player
band?
from Dredge. Yes,
Okay.
that's Drew Roulette, world-renowned artist, painter. Dredge is a worldwide band that has toured
Yeah.
with the biggest bands in the business and done solo tours themselves, worked with producers like Terry Date, and put out amazing albums like Catch Without
Incredible.
Arms, LCLO, the Pariah, the Parrot, the Delusion. I mean, so to grow up on those guys' music and then happen to befriend them
Yeah.
later on, that's a whole kind of another story.
Sure.
I don't want to get into that side of it
Yeah, of
too much,
course.
but I have some connections in the business, and being able to befriend Dredge backstage at one of those moments, and to be able to have it tie into this project years later. I mean, I met these guys over 10 years ago, and I
Yeah.
happen to have a bond with the drummer Dino Campanella and Drew Roulette, and I'm friends with those guys to this day, and they enjoy this project and help. Dino provides me with drum equipment. I purchase it from him, but so it's pretty cool to have that camaraderie with those musicians and have their respect us as their peers and
Sure.
them as ours.
And they're kind of heroes to you, because I know that Catch Without Arms, dude, that's one of my most influential albums.
It's pretty incredible.
It's
I mean,
incredible. When you
anything
see
those guys do is on
You see
another
a steel
level.
guitar or a lap steel be played like that, you're like, holy.
I mean, it just like I think Dredge to me, and I've told this to Drew and Dino, one of the greatest rock bands nobody, like the mainstream really never got a feel for, but I think it was more important that they stayed true to themselves, and it was that small group of people around the world that got to experience Dredge the way that we all did and take it in, and the albums are timeless. I mean, you can put them on it at any moment in time, and they're going to resonate with you. They'll take you back to like a nostalgic moment, or you'll feel it in the moment, and that's.
It definitely
I think
sounds
they try to.
like
Our music kind of reflects something of that as well. So
I would agree. I would have to agree with that.
He is doing the artwork for the 3rd album too.
yes,
Awesome.
And
That's
on
what. that was-
Jaguar Priestess, Kiko Monclova, he did the disc art.
Okay, cool.
yeah. So on the
Nice,
disc
yeah.
itself, right, you will see artwork from Kiko Monclova, he grew up with us here.
He's part of
and
this band. He's
Right.
Just
yeah.
as much as Emmett
the
Albin
sixth
is.
member, right? Like you're
Yeah.
about now.
Emmett's the 4th,
Yeah.
Kiko's the 5th,
Yeah, Kenny
Tyler
Riley's in
Sneed's the
there.
6th, Kenny Riley. We've said this to ourselves, amongst ourselves, plenty of times. It's like, you only see 3 of us, but there's so much more going on behind what we do that like Lee with Bean, OJ and his kids, his family, my parents, my wife, my child, all of us. It takes all of us to to amplify Cinematica to the rose that it is that glows in the sun that everybody sees, behind closed doors or whatever, So
Absolutely.
so that's what makes us tick, I guess, right? It's everything behind what you see.
And we will be doing a re-release of Cherry Nova.
Awesome.
Well, 2015 we put out Bean and I.
The EP, right?
Yes,
Cherry
before
Nova.
he joined us in 16, right?
Yeah.
In 16 you joined us, 2016, I believe.
Round in there, something. Right?
Or did you join in 15?
when you
October
guys-
of 15.
I think I joined right after you guys got out of the studio.
Okay, my mistake. Him and I started Cinematica in 2014. 2015, we recorded Cherry Nova EP with Doug Eagle at Eagle Studios up in Durango, Colorado. And OJ was in the band,
Yeah,
but hadn't
but
learned all the songs quite yet and stuff. We were kind of having to go. At the time, we thought it was such a stretch, right? Like we had 8 or 9 songs and being oh no, we gotta start from scratch again.
Right.
Little did we know though, it was the seed that was planted that really made this band take off when we refer to ourselves as the Cosmic Triangle. We have such a grandiose vision of what we are and so many nicknames for us and stuff. We literally dive into this Cinematica world and universe and it is there's galaxies and there's stars and there's planets and we have little trinkets for every one of them, and so
Beautiful, man.
by each song on each album, there's going to be 9 songs on each album to represent that the square root of 3 because there's 3 of us, right?
Sure.
So there's 9 planets in the solar system. We have all these weird little things that we tell ourselves. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
We're instrumental, so this is the first time anybody gets to kind of hear the behind.
A taste of the lore of Cinematica.
There's actually a track on the new album called Lore. We're playing it today. We're
How
playing it
about that?
today. So yeah.
Well, stay tuned for the track Lore from Cinematica off their new release Jaguar Priestess. Go on, check them out on YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, all your digital media platforms. This has been Heartspace Live. I'm Terry Martin. Thanks for joining us.